Prepare to face the sea of darkness, because we're talking about the late great Lucio Fulci's masterpiece, The Beyond, in today's Horror Geek Review. Welcome back, Gore Geeks. I'm Mike Bracken, better known as the Horror Geek. Looking for rants, raves, and reviews about your favorite horror films? Then you've come to the right place. If you enjoy this video, please be sure to like it, subscribe to the channel for more horrific reviews and features, and click the annoying little bell button to get alerts when I post new content. And now, with all that crap out of the way, let's get bloody. Lucio Fulci is best known for his horror films, but the late filmmaker worked in a wide variety of genres during his career. He made westerns, comedies, gialli, and more, but he'll forever be revered for his horror output, films that earned him the nickname the Godfather of Gore. Fulci files will argue about which film is the director's greatest achievement, with titles like Zombie, Don't Torture a Duckling, and City of the Living Dead all getting votes. But it's The Beyond that has always stood head and shoulders above the rest for me. The Beyond is the second film in Fulci's Gates of Hell trilogy, nestled between City of the Living Dead and House by the Cemetery. It's a divisive piece of work. The late Roger Ebert hated it, but the film has found a reverent following in cult horror film circles over the years. Many of the film's detractors' complaints about The Beyond are valid. The plot is best described as non-existent, and the dialogue is pretty terrible even by Italian horror film standards.
What are you doing in my room?
I was looking for keys.
But the film's atmosphere, ending, and the spectacularly gruesome special effects make up for a lot of the issues. Fulci claimed he wanted to make an absolute film with The Beyond, and while I'm not entirely sure what he means by that, I think he succeeded. The Beyond is an absolute Italian horror classic. The film opens in New Orleans in 1927. We know it's 1927 because the title card tells us as much. But if it didn't, the sepia-toned visuals would probably give it away. You can also tell the villagers are restless because they're converging on a hotel with torches. Can we just stop for a second here and look at these guys? I love that they're basically part of a vigilante mob, but they decided to put on their best suits to go out and kill a guy anyway. A painter/warlock named Schweik is inside the hotel. He's painting this picture like he's some kind of satanic Bob Ross. I'm just gonna put some happy little corpses here. Let's add one next to this guy. Every corpse needs a friend. Meanwhile, downstairs, the hotel's owner is reading some ominous-sounding passages from an old book titled Avon.
The 7 dreaded gateways are concealed in 7 cursed places. Woe be unto him who ventures near without knowledge.
The locals are convinced Schweik is a warlock, and that his presence has cursed the town. So they proceed to beat him with chains.
You ungodly warlock!
Which is a bit of a callback to Fulci's classic giallo Don't Torture a Duckling, and then they crucify him to the wall. Oh, they throw quicklime on him too. And then mark his tomb with the sign of Prince. Kidding aside, the story goes that Fulci came up with the idea of using that symbol after his daughter got it as a random tattoo. After that, the film jumps to present-day 1981. Which isn't so present day anymore. Liza has inherited the old hotel, which has been abandoned and run down. She's cleaning it up with the idea of reopening it, but things immediately turn ominous when a painter named Larry plunges off the scaffolding outside. No, we don't need to get Larry an ambulance or anything. We'll just let him sleep it off here on the sofa. Larry Ray was given the part of Larry the Painter after serving as an assistant to producer Fabrizio De Angelis. Ray was bilingual and not only helped the production find shooting locations in Louisiana, but translated whenever necessary. He has some fascinating stories about the production of the film that he shares in an interview on the Blu-ray release of The Beyond. I highly recommend checking it out. Larry's unfortunate accident leads to Liza meeting Dr. John McCabe. But still, this should have happened at a hospital, right? Things get worse for Liza when she learns the basement of the hotel is flooded. But fear not, Joe the plumber is on the way. The idea of a hotel in Louisiana having a basement is one of the things I find charming about The Beyond. Fulci never lets reality or logic get in the way of the story he's trying to tell. Larry Ray drives this point home, mentioning that Fulci and the production team often just made up scenes mid-shoot. Joe digs around in the basement and finds a hidden wall. After he knocks it down, he discovers the source of the flooding. Well, here's the cause of your leak. You got a dead warlock in here clogging up the pipes like his name was Amontillado. Freed from his tomb, Schweik gets down to business in the film's first of many scenes of pure ocular mayhem. Germano, Natali, and Gino Rossi's work here is amazing. Next, Liza runs into Emily, almost literally, in the middle of the road. You know, generally speaking, hitchhiking works better if you do it from the side of the road, not right in the center lane. Then, because Fulci doesn't want to spend too much time on any one scene, we jump over to the hospital where Joe the plumber and Schweik's bodies are being stored. Veteran Italian character actor Al Cliver gets the bright idea to hook Schweik up to a brainwave monitor. Because sure, why not? He's only been dead for 60 years. Fulci then gives us a charming do not entry sign before showering us with even more gore. I'm no OSHA safety inspector, but I can see multiple violations in this scene. Unlabeled container of acid left open in a precarious position, civilians left alone in restricted areas with unlabeled container of acid. What could go wrong? Oh, yeah, that could go wrong. I also love that in a movie filled with brutal eye violence and terrifying zombies, one of the most intense scenes has a girl trying to avoid getting melted mom goo on her shoes. And from this point on, the film just basically goes nuts. Fulci's essentially just stringing scenes together to get us to the next gore sequence, like this scene where Liza's architect goes to the library to do some research. That's Fulci there in a cameo appearance as the film's librarian. Things seem to be going along normally in this sequence, and then boom! Flesh-eating tarantulas are devouring the guy's face. You gotta love the sound effects here too. I'm no arachnologist. Hell, I don't even know if that's a real word, but I'm pretty sure spiders never sound like they need some WD-40. Things continue to spiral out of control from there, with Dr. John and Liza fleeing for the hospital where they learn that the Book of Abon's prophecy about the dead coming back to life when the gate to hell is open is true. This leads to an extended action sequence, wherein John has to shoot a bunch of zombies. John makes the average Star Wars stormtrooper look like a Marine sniper. Aim for the head, dummy. Oh, and I love that this sequence of actor David Warbeck screwing around and shoving a bullet into the barrel of his gun somehow made it into the final film. I'm pretty sure that's not how you load a pistol. The zombie climax wasn't part of Fulci's original intent for the Beyond, but the German distributors of the film wanted a zombie holocaust like the one in Fulci's earlier film, Zombie. Fulci obliged them, but it doesn't really feel as though his heart was in it. The undead here aren't the real threat of the film, they're just speed bumps on the way to the climactic scene. And man, what a climax it is. I'll not spoil it here, but it's one of my favorite horror film endings. The Beyond really strives for a sort of Lovecraftian cosmic horror feel while also showing influences from Argento's Suspiria and Inferno, and it nails all of them in the ending. The Lovecraftian ties are fairly pronounced. The Book of Abon was a Clark Ashton Smith creation, but it turned up in Lovecraft stories like The Haunter of the Dark and Dreams in the Witch House. The Argento connections are no less obvious. Fulci recreates the dog attack sequence from Suspiria with more gory results, and it's no stretch to see Liza's hotel as an analog to Inferno's high-rise apartment building. Fulci himself often said that The Beyond wasn't supposed to make sense as a linear narrative. Instead, the director opted for a more nightmarish narrative structure, where the sound and imagery were more important than the story's coherence. This is a recurring trend in Italian horror cinema, but it often confounds American viewers who are used to more plot-driven productions. And look, The Beyond structure can be confusing. But if you just roll with the punches and go with it, it's easy to see why fans love it as much as they do. And there you have it, movie maniacs, my thoughts on Lucio Fulci's The Beyond. If you're new to Fulci's unique brand of Italian horror cinema, this is a great entry point. It's got all the hallmarks of his work: gore, brutal eye violence, and loads of atmosphere. Fulci made some great films, but for me, this will always be his masterpiece. What's your favorite Fulci film? Leave me a comment below. Oh, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, subscribe to the channel, and share it on social media. This is a tiny little channel we're growing here, and I need all the audience I can get. And if you want more Horror Geek, join me on social media. The links are below. And with that, I'm Mike Bracken, aka The Horror Geek, yet again bringing you all the splatter that matters.